Have we confused healing with moving on? Because sometimes I think people hear the word healing and assume it means you should eventually stop talking about what happened, stop feeling anything about it, forgive everybody involved, and move on like it never existed. Almost like healing means you fell, bumped your head, and suddenly developed amnesia. But healing is not amnesia. Healing doesn't mean that you forget. You didn't fall and bump your head and just lose all your memory. You went through something, or someone hurt you in a way that you probably never expected. Maybe that person was your safe space. Maybe you trusted them. Maybe you genuinely believed that they would never be the person to cause you that kind of pain. And that safety, it was ripped away from you. So, how exactly are you supposed to wake up one morning, roll over, and decide that everything is just suddenly cool? How are you supposed to just forget that it happened? And honestly, why should forgetting even be the goal? Because you still have to remember what you went through in order to work through the pieces of it. That doesn't mean you sit inside the pain forever. It doesn't mean you allow what happened to consume every part of your life. But how can you heal from something you keep running away from? How can you heal from something you keep pretending never existed? Because acting like it didn't happen doesn't just suddenly make it disappear. It just means you haven't dealt with it yet. And I think sometimes we tell ourselves that we've healed when all we really did was give ourselves permission to move on. We went back to work. We started talking to people again. We began laughing again. Maybe we entered another relationship, returned to the same friendship, or started doing all the normal things we used to do. And because life appears normal on the outside, we assume that we must be healed. But moving forward in your life and actually dealing with what happened are not always the same thing. What I've learned is that you can keep moving and still be carrying everything with you. You can continue living while still essentially operating under survival mode. You can smile, work, love people, show up for every single body, and still have parts of you that are trying to outrun something you never gave yourself the time or the space to process. It's kind of like continuously pushing things under a rug. At first, it's one small thing. Then you push something else under there. Then something else. And eventually, you've got shoes, clothes, toys, memories, fear, anger, disappointment. All of your life's belongings sitting up under that rug. Now that rug is no longer lying flat on the ground. You just keep walking over it, keep tripping over it. You keep wondering why you can't move through your own life without feeling like something is underneath you. Well, let me tell you something. That something is you. Everything you kept pushing away because you hoped out of sight would eventually mean out of mind. But when you need one of those pieces, when a familiar situation happens, when somebody touches that very same wound, when you're trying to build trust again, where is it? It's still under that rug. So the question becomes, do you want to keep walking on eggshells over everything you've buried? Or do you want to finally stand on solid ground? And standing on solid ground may require you to lift that rug. It may require you to look at some things you didn't want to look at again. It may require you to relive certain painful or traumatic experiences, not because you want to stay stuck there. But my friend, it's because you need to understand what those moments did to you. And I ain't gonna lie, that shit hurts like hell. Healing can be messy. It can be confusing. It can get on your last damn nerve. One day you may feel like you've made so much progress that the next day something reminds you of what happened and you feel like you're right back at the beginning. But you may not actually be at the beginning. You may simply be meeting a different part of your pain. And that's another reason why I don't believe there is one perfect way to heal. There isn't one timeline, one checklist, one magical point where you've cried the correct number of tears, attended enough therapy sessions, journaled enough pages, or even forgiven the right people, and now have received some magical certificate saying you're officially healed. Baby, healing doesn't look the same for everybody. Just like there's no single way to grieve, there is no singular way to heal. What worked for Sally may not work for Mary. What helped your friend may not be what helps you. And sometimes you have to dig deeper and ask yourself what healing would actually look like in your own life. Would it be like setting a boundary? Would it look like finally saying out loud what happened wasn't okay? Would it look like leaving? Would it look like staying but rebuilding the relationship differently? Would it look like forgiving someone without allowing them back into your life? Would it look like admitting that you're still angry? Would it look like you're allowing yourself to grieve the person, relationship, opportunity, or version of yourself that you lost? Because healing isn't always about returning to the person you were before. Sometimes that person no longer exists. Sometimes the experience changed you. And that doesn't automatically mean it ruined you. But you may have to stop chasing the old version of yourself long enough to get to know the person you are now. The problem is people may try to rush that process. And there's so many reasons under the sun why. Some people rush your healing because your pain makes them feel uncomfortable. Some people do it because they genuinely love you, but they don't understand what you're experiencing and mistakenly believe that they're helping you. Some are impatient. Some baby want the old version of you back. Some want you to believe that they love you. And sometimes the person rushing your healing is the person who caused the hurt. They don't necessarily want you to heal because they understand what healing requires from you. Nah, they want you to heal because they want things to return to normal. They want that relationship they had before. They want that access they had before. They want that affection, intimacy, friendship, attention, or even the comfort they received before their very actions changed everything. You see it in romantic relationships all of the time. Someone cheats or violates violates the trust in a relationship, and then a few months later got the nerve to be asking, how long is it going to take? When are you going to forgive me? When are we going to go back to normal? But normal is broken. The safety is broken. The trust is broken. You can't damage someone's sense of safety and then become impatient because rebuilding it takes longer than you expected. And this can happen in friendships too. Someone hurts you, betrays you, tries to embarrass you, or crosses a boundary. And then they got the nerve to rush you through the pain because your distance is now an inconvenience for them. But other people's discomfort does not get to cancel out your comfort, safety, and boundaries that you need while you're healing. Why should you put yourself back into an uncomfortable position just to make somebody else feel better? Why? Why would your no turn back into a yes because somebody else is tired of hearing you say no? You still have to stand firm on your no. You still have to pay attention to what your mind and body is telling you. And yeah, there's going to be moments when someone who loves you gives you tough love. There may be moments when you point out that you're avoiding something or repeatedly getting back on the same hamster wheel while hoping it will somehow take you to somewhere different. I need you to understand that we do play a part in our own healing. We can't use the fact that other people sometimes rush us as an excuse to avoid doing our own work forever. There is a difference between somebody pressuring you to make them comfortable and someone lovingly helping you to see that your avoidance is keeping you stuck. And that's where honesty and discernment matter. You have to ask, is this person trying to support my healing? Or are they simply trying to restore their access to me? Are they encouraging me to face what happened? Or are they just asking me to pretend that it never happened so they don't have to sit with the consequences? Am I going to give myself the space to heal? Or am I using that I'm still healing as a place to hide because confronting the pain feels too difficult? Those are hard questions. Healing requires our participation too. Your healing deserves attention. It deserves patience. It deserves love. It deserves time. It deserves your effort. And it deserves your undivided cooperation. Because if you never give yourself the time, space, and opportunity, right, to deal with what happened, you may continue living in survival mode. You may spend your life trying to outrun the very things that are still controlling the way you think, love, trust, respond, and make decisions. And you deserve more than just merely surviving by the skin of your teeth for everything that happened to you. You deserve the opportunity to understand it. You deserve the opportunity to work through it. You deserve the opportunity to decide what healing actually looks like for you, not what everybody else thinks it should look like. So maybe healing isn't about forgetting. Maybe it isn't about convincing everybody that you're finally okay. Maybe healing is about being honest about what happened, accepting that it affected you, and choosing to work through it at a pace that allows you, to build something solid underneath your feet. So let me ask you something. Have you actually given yourself permission to heal? Or have you only given yourself permission to move on? And what would real healing, actually look like for you?